Skateboarding in video games can appear in many different ways. You got the classic press A to ollie, the modern stick flick to do a flip trick, and the postmodern both sticks are a foot that you flick to land a sick trick. Shut up, that was so stupid. Let's do a completely new intro. Good evening. Thank you for joining me. Today's topic, skateboarding. Skateboarding in video games have been around since the very beginning. It all started in 1986 with the first ever skateboarding game, 720 Degrees, which was an arcade game that looked like this. Looks like a blast. It wasn't until the very late 1990s and the early 2000s that the genre truly exploded. Do I even need to go over this part? Oh, hold on. Yeah, hello, Mr. President? Oh, okay, gotcha. All right, yeah, love you too. Yeah, I need to go over it. The following decade would have the Birdman squirt out a new game every 12 months, and by the end of the decade, it was getting kind of tiring, both for the consumer and for Tony's cloaca. Thankfully, the Skate series saved the day with its launch in 2007. The game had a new style that I think improved Tony Hawk's simple combo system without reaching the complexity that we have with the modern day skate simulators. The game saw 2 amazing sequels before EA decided, nah. As the decade came to an end, the skate genre, as well as the extreme sports genre as a whole, just kinda died out. After Skate 3, everyone decided to just pack their bags and leave because there was no way anyone could top this amazing game. Nah, I'm just kidding. They probably did like millions of dollars of research and found out that the whole skate trend was on its way out. Tony had one more trick up his sleeve, or cloaca, with the release of Tony Hawk Pro Skater in 2015. The trick being a horrible and broken, always online game that everyone hated. Like a teenager with brown hair and an odd obsession with Napoleon Dynamite, the skate genre saw no action in the 2010s. Wait. What is this doing here? I'm sure there were some random games here and there's even some 2D platformers, but none of them were trying to recreate the traditional skateboarding game that we all knew and loved. The genre was also doing strangely well on mobile because that was a new form factor that just hadn't been explored yet, and it strangely worked. Other than these few outliers, the genre was pretty much dead. There were a few reasons why the skateboarding genre faded out. The sport itself was losing popularity. Skateboarding in no way died in the 2010s, but it was nowhere near as popular as it was beforehand. It just wasn't as prevalent in pop culture as it was in the decades prior. The second reason was oversaturation. There were just too many skateboarding games that weren't really adding anything new. You could also see the overall quality was dropping and people were just getting tired of playing these same games. The third reason was a shift in gaming. Extreme sports games overall were just falling out of fashion in favor of online multiplayer games. It's time to get on the web, Grandpa. Let's play some Team Fortress 2. Also, these games were predominantly shooter games, which are inherently easier to understand than skateboarding games. In a nutshell, all you have to do is explain shoot and then don't get shot versus this is an ollie, and then this is a kickflip depending on how you're standing, and then over here is a list of all the different grinds you could do, not to mention this list over here with all the different grabs and tweaks you can do. These are just some of the many reasons that led to the genre's downfall. If these games had better implemented online play and had been more accessible, I think that would have really helped with their longevity, but they didn't. The online multiplayer just always sucked. After almost a decade of being dead and chilling with ghost babes, the skateboard genre was slowly being resurrected by Session and Skater XL. I think it's a little early to say why exactly the genre returned at that time. People had enough time to heal and forgive, and overall, there's been a growing demand for games with just straight up fun gameplay. Not every game has to be a cinematic masterpiece with HD biceps. Both Skater XL and Session released as early access games in 2018 and 2019 respectively, and these were the perfect games that were desperately needed to revive this genre. These games had a completely new approach, realism. These games did to Skate 3 what Skate 3 did to Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Make things harder and more complex, which also gives more freedom and depth. Both these games were released by small studios, so they were heavily carried by the community at first. Even though both games have had full official releases since then, they still kind of feel incomplete, especially compared to Skate 3. I know that Skate 3 was developed by a huge studio and this was their third game, but these games have been in development for over 5 years now. And Skate 3 is like 13 years old at this point. In 2020 though, the doctors gave Tony the okay to squeeze out yet another game, this time being a remaster of his first and second game. I'm sorry, I'm done with this joke. These games were very faithful to the original installments and to my understanding were very well received by their fan bases. All the while fans were begging EA to make Skate 4. Every Instagram post EA was making was being bombarded with comments asking for this game, and it's still being commented to this day. This has gone on for multiple years, even though in July 2021, the Skate team uploaded a video to the Skate YouTube channel saying that they are actually developing a new installment. About a year later, very early footage of the game was shown, and they've been doing little updates like this ever since then. The team's transparency and collaboration with prominent Skate 3 creators is very promising. They're being really open about the whole process and showing off how the game actually looks right now, and showing off how the game will look in the future. Hopefully. They've added many more features and tricks and things that have just been requested since the games were still being made. But modern day EA being behind this and the free-to-play aspect of the game is pretty concerning. I don't want to be a big meanie head, but I don't know how the game is gonna turn out. But to top off this whole comeback thing, Riders Republic announced that they will be adding a skateboarding mode to their game. I didn't know about this game for the longest time, so for those of you who also don't know, it's basically an extreme sports open world game where you could travel and trick through the world on either a bike, snowboard, skis, wingsuit, jetpack thing, or now skateboard. The skateboard genre is not back to its former glory, but the past 4 years alone have been more promising and lively than all of the 2010s. We made negative progress with Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5. Skateboarding games are so fun and provide so much variety. They could be arcadey or they could be realistic. You can sit back and relax while playing them, or you could be grinding your teeth and sweating your ass off trying to beat this Hall of Meat challenge. They also usually have a banging soundtrack, which is actually really important to a child's development. For a few years when I wasn't really playing video games, I would just play Skate 3, and I have a whole other video about how the game was almost therapeutic. It gave me the space I needed to reflect on my feelings and shit, and skating through the map helped stop me from just ruminating on one thought. Yes, I'm still just talking about Skate 3. The skateboarding genre died out for a multitude of reasons, and although I'll admit it's not back to its former glory, the hype and the new games and updates that are coming out recently are very promising. We don't need it to be the hot new trend that every company is jumping on, but I'm tired of it being a dead horse in a swimming pool, just floating around and making everyone sad. It's obvious that people want a new skate game. The game is just fun for everyone, both skaters and non-skaters. I genuinely hope that both Session and Skater Excel keep improving and lead to some competition with the new skate game. I'm ready to serve in the skateboard game war, fighting for which game I think is best. Skateboarding games are making a comeback, and I hope you're on board because the only options are to skate or die. Make sure you grab your board and do a sick grind onto that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.